Where there are big upsets in March Madness, there is also some big money to be made. Let's get a look at one of the craziest first two rounds of March basketball that we've seen in a while with Pete Truszkowski over at Yahoo Sports. Pete, it's great to have you on the program. You know, you've been covering the world of gambling, especially during this very volatile March Madness tournament. And I want to get your stories of people that have made it big. And one of your stories that you published over the weekend was about one brave person who had a 13-leg parlay, hit 11 of them, and then cashed out. But the twist is that that last two parts of that leg of that parlay actually ended up hitting. How much money did that person leave on the table?
They left over $750,000 on the table. They cashed out for $340,000, but originally the bet paid $1.1 million and some change. So yeah, he cashed out on Friday morning, and there was 2 games left on Friday, and both those legs hit.
What's really fascinating about all of this is that, college basketball is such a unpredictable sport to bet on. First of all, it's a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old kids that will make mistakes during games. But then secondly, there's kind of been this open door of all of these new gambling platforms coming online over the last year. So I guess my question to you is, should we expect to see more bettors coming into the college basketball space? Is there anything you've seen from this March Madness so far that tells you, look, this is going to be a really big primary place for the sports betting platforms to want to invest in the years to come?
Absolutely. I feel like there's 2 main events in the sports betting world. That's the Super Bowl, and then that's March Madness. And over the past couple of decades, a lot of people have been filling out brackets. The thing with a bracket is, a lot of us realized this weekend, is once it's done, it's done. So you have nothing else to do for the rest of the tournament. And the tournament's fascinating, and everyone loves watching it. So if you can bet through a mobile app legally now, once your brackets crash, you can stay in the action. You keep betting every game, whatever game you want. And a lot of people have gone from brackets to regular gambling. I mean, I feel like brackets used to be just like a secret way of gambling. But now that you could do it legally and openly, why not?
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up there. I mean, I guess one other natural question here is just about the lines themselves, right? I mean, there's a lot of arbitrage, I imagine, to be made that might make it attractive because, you see teams that are, 20, 22-point spreads in a basketball game, and that might be an easy place to bet on the spread. Although I know that 13-leg parlay, a lot of that was money line. I mean, how do you feel those sports books are doing in terms of kind of getting the lines on these games? And does that present arbitrage where people can bet on one app, take the opposite side of the bet on another app, and then make some money there?
Absolutely. There was a Davidson-Michigan State game on, I believe it was Thursday, and Davidson opened as a 1.5 point underdog, and they closed as a 1.5 point favorite. Davidson ended up losing the game by 1, thanks to a last-second desperation 3 that was meaningless to the game, but very meaningful to bettors. So if you got that bet earlier in the day and you took Davidson getting a 1.5, you were a winner. But if you waited till later in the day, closer to tip-off, and you took Davidson laying a 1.5, you were a loser. And that's not to mention live betting. If you bet a team to cover, say, 5.5, and they go down 10 points, you could get them as an underdog. So you could double up your money. Or if you bet a team and then they come out fast and you want to bet the other side, create a middle where you could win both sides of your bet. There's plenty of ways to, if you know what you're doing, to make money betting on college basketball, especially if you're using a bunch of books, you're using the live market, you're using the futures market to get ahead of things, such as earlier in the tournament, Gonzaga was plus 300. Now they're down to plus 225. And I mean, everyone knew that they were going to win their first 2 games. So why would you wait to now to bet Gonzaga? They weren't going to lose their first 2 games.
Well, not all 1 seeds won their first 2 games, like Baylor, for example. Just kind of want to call last question here. What is your Final Four? I have all 1 seeds in my Final Four. Extremely boring, which means Baylor got eliminated. How's your Final Four looking?
I have Gonzaga winning it all over Kansas, but Tennessee and UCLA making the Final Four. Tennessee will not get there for me. I made a mistake backing Rick Barnes. I thought this was a different year, but the guy's awful in tournament play, and it reared its ugly head again this year. So
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I was going heavy on the Big 12. I just think it's going to be Baylor or Kansas here. But again, my pick on Baylor ended up not going through because I freaking shorted the ACC, and UNC apparently a lot better than I thought. As a Syracuse observer, I should have seen that. But we'll wrap up that conversation there. Maybe have you back on when we do have a little bit, when we do get closer to the Final Four to see if we are right. But Pete Truszkowski, our friend over at Yahoo Sports, just down the hall from us, thanks again for joining this morning.